first time I met Wally was the day he died. I went to visit him with the hope of an interview. He gave me a smile, but couldn't speak. So I decided to find his voice.
Good morning, you're listening to Eastside Radio 89.7 FM. I have to start today's show on a sad note. One of the stalwarts of the station, a man who's been with us pretty much since the day the station opened its doors 27 odd years ago. Wally Wrightman sadly passed away on Saturday afternoon. Anyone who's listened to the station will know Wally's name, know his tone, know his wonderful love for the music. So before I do anything else, I want to play a song for Wally.
Wally's real gift was that he had an ear for music and an eye for talent.
Because of his love of jazz and his promotion of jazz within the community, that we became known as a jazz station.
Supporting act is the Four Kinsmen. They are a splendid local act that is worthy of top billing on the club circuit. Their agent is a young man who evidently knows talent, and this group is the third from his stable that I have seen. The other two are the delightful Maria Blanche and the brilliant Chris Kirby. If these are the calibre acts of his agency, his will be one to be reckoned with in the future.
Isn't that great?
So that's a great one.
For an agent, he was really honest. He said exactly what he felt.
He was never afraid to speak his mind.
Very blunt, mind you.
Now remember, Wally's my agent, right? So, and just as she said that, you're the best ventriloquist I've ever seen. I went, oh, thank you very much. And Wally wakes up and he says, oh, I don't know, there's this guy in England who's really, really good.
The giants of jazz will welcome our Wall, now weaving his magic from year 2011 with wit, warmth and wisdom in his ethereal kingdom on 89.7 heaven.
I do actually play jazz to them. They
Do you?
Yeah. I told you, you do, don't you? I guess you could say he was definitely kind of like a grandfather figure, to me anyway, at the station.
He was an amazing man because he was bigger than Ben-Hur, you know, and that was Wally in everything.
Wally was a great man. He had a great aura about him and had, I think he had a great sense of community and pleasure by bringing jazz music to everyone in Sydney.
Wally, what a wonderful man. Wonderful announcer.
I just used to love listening to him.
He's a very warm person, loved his music, and I loved him very much.
I have the fondest memories of Wally, hours of listening to him over decades, and he's a sad loss to Eastside Radio.
Apparently Wally had done a lot of practice in preparation for his gig as an announcer. His younger sister Anne remembers when he used to play records in the front room with a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and she could hear him signing off saying, and this is Wally Wrightman signing off from Radio Luxembourg.
As I said earlier on this program, I think he was virtually the voice of the station.
You know, that wonderfully idiosyncratic, earthy Cockney voice that was just so great to listen to. He would obviously speak into the microphone with his Mr. Smooth voice.
And a very good afternoon. You're listening to me, Wally Wrightman, with In Town Today, for lack of a better title. Actually, I pinched that title from a BBC programme of about, let me see, must be about 45 years ago. And I just hope that I can set some sort of a standard too.
His voice was part of his calling on radio and off radio. You know, he also wanted to sing.
We're singing. Well, yeah.
Man, you should listen. Go and listen to Wally. He might not have the best voice in the world, but he knows how to tell a story.
Well, they say that everybody can sing.
Well, he said if you could hear music, then you can sing it.
Oh man, sunshine, listen you. Never tell me dreams come true. Don't try it, or you'll start a riot.
After the radiotherapy, he got very, very quirky. He almost had laryngitis. He was almost lost it. And he was, I could tell that it was really upsetting him. And I thought at first, oh, it's okay, and just, get it back in. But then I realised it was because his voice was his, stock in trade. That was what Wally Wrightman was all about. It was about that voice.
It was quite a surprise to me that recognition, voice, is much more astute than visual.
I think for a lot of listeners, his voice was a big part of Eastside Radio's sound.
I was filling in for Wally in the last few months while he was sick, and it was a very hot seat and an honourable seat to fill, and I was really hoping that Wally would be back to fill it again, but unfortunately that wasn't to be.
Like all great contributors to our industry, Wally was a class act. A class act deserves a standing ovation, and I think we could give our friends and that colleague our standing ovation. Wally, it's not easy, but can you take a bow? Outstanding.
More than 20,000 people volunteer at community radio stations across Australia. Wally Wrightman was one of them.